constantly shifting through the time-space continuum, Metron's three disciples observe the universe from the Mobius Couch.
Justice will be served and the battle will rage. This big dog will fight when you rattle his cage, and you'll be sorry that you messed with the US of A, because we'll put a boot in your ass. It's the American way to the Mobius Couch, a time-space interdimensional vehicle from which your three hosts oversee the world of comics and comic book movies. People of the world, welcome to the Mobius Couch. I'm Alessandro, welcome. And joining me as usual are Joe.
Oh, hey, Al.
Hello. And of course, Patrick.
Hello, Alessandro. Hello, Joe.
Oh, hello, Patrick. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well. I've been working on my hellos.
Again, just smooth intro, beautiful banter. We got this. We got the rapport nailed down.
When we worked at the restaurant, I used to walk up to Patrick and be like, "Hello, Patrick. How are you this evening?" That is good. And I just like, it's a little insight into our history together.
Yeah, and I'll let the listeners, do their own research. What restaurant? That's up to you to find out.
We don't know.
The answers are there.
Georgia.
The answers are there. Well, you didn't. Well, now you give them a big hint. So now you narrowed it down to the 12,000 restaurants.
It is
we are not here to talk about the restaurant industry, however.
No,
although actually we could, because The Bear is a huge hit on Hulu.
And
we could
and read comics together at that time in our lives, though, and that's why we're reliving it with the Justice League of America.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there. We are not going to talk about restaurants anymore. We are going to talk about the Justice League of
That's what I just
America.
said.
Well, you said the Justice League, but we're specifically talking about the League of America.
I said of America.
We're specifically talking about the JLA, not the Justice League of America.
That's actually not Justice League.
Well, but A stands for America, right?
So for this episode, we're only talking about issues 1 through 9. So we're just starting the Morrison and Howard Porter, mostly Howard Porter, run on this, and mostly Morrison, I guess, run on this book. But man, my overall takeaway is I liked this back then. I'm not sure I like it anymore. I mean, I like it for what it is, like at its core, I think, like the essentialness of it being a thing, but like the writing is not very good. And we've talked about Morrison off podcast many times over the years of our lives, and always hit or miss for us. I feel like a pretty standard reaction from all of us.
Yes.
And man, I think at least issues 1 through 5 are very bad. It gets a little better, but and Howard Porter's art is interesting at first. I remember loving it right away. And I know it gets better in the run, but like, man, it's pretty hit or miss in these early issues.
Yeah, I think unlike both of you, I never read this at the time. Like in the 90s, I never read this. I just thought it was awful. Like across the board, just a terrible comic. We'll get into it again. This is only not 1 through 9 don't really feature the iconic arcs like Rock of Ages, that kind
Tower
of stuff
Battle.
that like kind of redefined the JLA in the later 90s. But it's a rough read. If you're just coming into this as a 36-year-old man, never having read this in 2022, it's not that I'm 36, I'm 25. But anyway, it's a rough read. It's not great.
Yeah, my overall take is pretty much the same as Joe's. So I didn't read this when it came out. I read this back probably in 2004-ish because Joe gave me...
so like 5-ish years later, maybe 8.
The current JLA run was at issue 100 when you gave me your entire box. So
and that's where my issue 3 went.
And I probably and I shredded through these in like 3 days, and I loved it. I loved it overall. And I thought, Morrison is so closely associated with the JLA that I thought I loved the Morrison stuff. But yeah, these first few issues, not how I remembered it at all. And the art as well. Howard Porter, it seems like he's come a long way, but the art in this is just it's hard to look at sometimes.
Let's just get in on this because we got 9 issues. I really want to go issue by issue because this shit is bananas. So let's just kind of a little bit of background I wanted to give for new listeners. This is the one episode we've ever done where like I Wikipedia'd something. So I want to show that knowledge.
Oh, you actually like read
so
up
for
on
new
things.
listeners who don't know what the Justice League of America is, it's a team up of big old DC heroes. It's the first issue came out March 1960 in the Brave and the Bold number 28. And this was a cash-in because DC wasn't doing too well. And they wanted to harken back to the Justice Society of America comics from the 40s that were big sellers for them. Justice Society is like Hawkman and those people that you're going to see in the Black Adam movie with Dwayne Johnson. Those, I like to speak to the laymen who don't know shit about comics. So for you dumbasses who don't know anything, it's for the people that The Rock fights. Yeah. So those of you who have no idea what the Justice Society is, it's people like Dr. Fate and Hawkman that The Rock is going to smash through airplanes. But that was discontinued. And so in the 60s, DC said, hey, let's cash in on that and make a team up of our currently popular heroes. The original lineup was Superman, Batman, Aquaman, Flash, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, and Wonder Woman. And here's a little trivia note. Let's see if either of you know this. The first issue where the Justice League of America appeared, Brave and the Bold number 28, who was the villain they fought?
Yeah.
Fuck. Oh, I thought I was going to get you with that. God damn it.
Really?
It was Starro.
You thought you were going to get us on the original Justice League.
Yeah, because I didn't. Who
it's like one of the most famous covers. Like
I'd never seen the cover until I just Wikipedia.
I bet you have, because it's been redrawn many times over with other people in the roles, and I bet if I showed it to you, you'd be like, I know that one.
Okay. All right, nerds. Anyway. Oh, and for those of you who don't know,
very famous fight, that one.
Yeah, and for the same dum-dums who don't know what the Justice Society is, Starro is the bad guy in The Suicide Squad.
The Suicide, yeah.
Not Suicide Squad.
Not Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad, which is the sequel. The sequel, which came out like 3 years after Suicide Squad, just titled The Suicide Squad.
Right. Not confusing at all.
Had Starro. That had Starro in it.
I feel like I was very harsh on Howard Porter. He gets better.
That sucks.
Overall, I really like Howard Porter. I still appreciate some of this stuff, some of the older stuff. Yeah. But you can see how rough and how new he is here.
Well, he was okay.
He gets way better later.
Yeah. So my research is this was like Howard Porter's like first big thing.
It really was.
I think he did The Ray and something called Underworld Unleashed. He's definitely refined his style for sure. I have the deluxe editions of all these JLA because I love the Morrison run so much. I thought.
Yeah.
But the reason that Morrison was given JLA is because he found out that the Teen Titans were being rebooted. And this is 97, I believe, when this run started. And he faxed an urgent memo to the head of DC saying, I want to write Teen Titans. But they'd already given it to like Dan Jurgens and George Perez. And so they're like, oh, we'll give you the JLA. So that's how Morrison got the JLA role. Also, apparently, Alessandro, to piggyback of what you were saying of the original JLA like team up, the current Justice League before JLA started were all these like kind of is like Metamorpho and Firehawk and Ice. I don't even think it's Ice that's in these first issues. It's some other like derivative of Ice, Fire. All these characters that are kind of C-list DC characters.
They're like Justice League Europe or Justice League International.
There was like multiple. There were multiple. Yeah, there was multiple Justice League teams at the time with like.
They're like the Blue Beetle and Booster Gold level heroes.
Right. Yeah. But apparently at this time, because Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, all the big names had not worked on a team together. Apparently there was a faction in DC that thought this was a huge risk, putting Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash all together on the same team because they thought each one kind of had its own vibe, I guess, their books. And
they were all relatively strong books at the time too.
Yeah. So it was a huge risk at the time for them to like bring the JLA together in this fashion, which is kind of insane when you look at it like now, because why would you want to watch a Justice League with Metamorpho is the leader and
you wouldn't? Yeah, and, I remember when these issues this was announced and these were coming out, I was like, it's about time, as a reader at that time, I was like psyched that they were finally putting all the big
they did together. Well, I'm not sure why they gave it to Morrison immediately, but so apparently They did a limited series with Mark Waid and Fabian Nicieza with like that JLA team, and it apparently sold really well, and that's what led them to say, all right, let's just do a full series for this JLA. But I'm not sure why they moved from Mark Waid to Grant Morrison in the meantime, because Mark Waid did then.
I think Mark Waid was just busy
after Grant Morrison.
Stuff.
They didn't say that in the deluxe edition. I don't think they want to spill the tea on all that. They're probably like, no, Grant Morrison, of course, we want him to write it.
Maybe. Also, weirdly enough, Howard Porter recently just started drawing again because he had like injured his hand or something.
Yeah,
like, something happened. He got like severely injured or something like that. Like
injured his
almost
hand?
like lost his thumb or something. I don't really remember. I didn't really read into it too much, and I barely heard about it. But
according to his Wikipedia, so it's just healing now. But while he couldn't draw, he worked as a bus driver. Isn't that wild?
Really? That's crazy. Well, he draws comics again, so he's gotten, But you look at his current work, and it's almost reminiscent, not to this degree of these issues, but it's reminiscent of his earlier. Like he lost a bit of his touch,
interesting.
You know what I mean? Like it's not as it's still fluid and looks better, but it's like I don't know. It's got like a little bit of a condensed craziness going on that you see a lot in a lot of these panels in this early issue. I would still say my overall impression of the first arc is like it's good, and I like the idea of it, but it's executed so poorly.
Yes.
And like
it's just such a mess.
The arc, like the dialogue's all over the place. Like none of the explanations make sense. It seems to jump scenes so quickly, and like
well, because they're trying to both set up that the JLA exists again with this cast and also introduce the plot. I just think it's trying to do a lot for a number one issue, because they're like, this new JLA of the old members is back, and also the villains show up, and it's just in 20 pages trying to do a lot. So it's all over the place.
I completely agree with you with the transitions, because not to jump ahead, there's one instance where they're fighting and Green Lantern and Flash are being attacked by the Martians, and then all of a sudden the next panel they're just all captured, and you don't see any of the fight or anything. It's like, wait, what has happened?
I guess I'm just kind of trying to point out stuff that I liked, because there's a lot that I didn't. So one thing that I really liked, weirdly, was like how Clark and Wally are talking a lot, like as colleagues, sort of. And I was like, that's interesting. I don't really remember that, but like, I guess it stood out to me now more than at the time. I was a huge fan of Wally West, I still am, but like seeing him and Superman, kind of like Superman going like, hey, Wally, I need you to like, be the one that's holding the team together, because I don't have time to do it, blah, 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 kind of thing. And I was like, interesting.
Yeah.
That he asked Wally to do, I don't know. And they keep having these moments where they're like talking to each other very privately throughout this little burst of issues that we read. But I found it interesting. I was like, I don't really recall that, but it's awesome, and I liked it.
Going back to Howard Porter a minute, I do. So as somebody, again, who didn't read this originally, but just read this for this podcast pretty much. Yeah. The art is just, it's peak. It's so 90s. It is so very much 90s. When they introduce the Hyperclan, they look like X-Force rejects or some kind of Wildstorm something. There's like
that's 100% what they're doing.
Giant robot and all the. I mean, it's such a. I don't know what else to say. It's just 90s comics.
You mean Hulkbuster, Iron Man, and Captain America down there on the left, and the Thing? You mean?
I did love Immortals character design. Didn't love the name because it makes no sense. He's cool. But spooky.
He looks cool. Protex, I think, is supposed to be like the main sun-looking guy. I think he's supposed to be kind of like a riff on that Superman 4, the movie, is what I was saying. Like that.
I think so. That does look.
It's just like a play on that guy. So also, if you flip to that page where they're all murdering like heroes or villains or something, I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, it's Wolverine.
But one's clearly Wolverine, and one's that's about to die is clearly Doctor Doom. I just love how DC and Marvel used to do that all the time. Just be like, hey, we need to murder like a fake superhero. Oh, make it look like Superman, kind of thing. Or like that's clearly Wolverine burnt at a stake.
To clue everyone in, readers, just plot wise, basically all that happens in issue 1 is this Hyperclan shows up out of nowhere. They say
they're here to save everyone,
and they're here to save the world.
So again, the overarching theme being that like, is the Justice League as an entity like doing enough or not, or are they doing too little, or like, kind of thing. Like, should they be doing more to help the Earth as a whole and less like just putting Band-Aids on stuff? And the commentary of that idea I like, But again, the execution of it, not very well spelled out.
Another note I had: Superman and Wally's girlfriend Linda, same haircut, same hairstyle. I don't know if you noticed, but they have the same hair. I just thought that was an interesting choice.
Well, Superman has some very interesting hair in these early issues. This is long hair Superman post him coming back to life, so it's some interesting stuff.
No,
going on.
I thought Blue Superman was him come back to life. Was he already come back to life?
No, long hair Superman was when he came back to life.
Who's Blue Superman?
We'll get to Blue Superman when we get to
Okay,
Blue
I
Superman.
thought that's how he came back to. Okay, this is why I didn't read in the comment. I need to catch up on that. All right, but so Hyperclan shows up. They're going to save the world. They save the world by murdering who they deem to be criminals, as well as terraforming the Sahara Desert. Allegedly.
Metahuman crime is down by like 60%, Alessandro. So
obviously.
maybe you should
Everyone's scared.
watch the news or something.
Yeah, man.
No, I know. Rudy Giuliani's stop and frisk really helped.
Simultaneously, they're
totally clean up Times Square.
Simultaneously, they're already attacking the Justice League, though. Like, they're taking out their satellite and doing shit, which they're not showing everyone else. And basically, I guess the entire plot line is that the Hyperclan is like mind controlling the Earth and spinning it to look like they're the heroes while simultaneously fighting the Justice League, basically.
Yeah, and so the Justice League in space, we do get a taste of the kind of pre-JLA Justice League, like the kind of Justice League International Europe or whoever was Metamorpho and
Metamorpho,
Ice Storm or whoever all they were. Metamorpho weirdly. Well, I want to talk about that because his funeral is I don't know if it was supposed to be funny or sad because it seemed like
it's supposed to be a little sad.
Superman threw some real shade, or somebody threw some real shade. They're like, nobody came to his funeral.
No, we can get there. I remember so many people at mine, and then basically the priest.
That's Superman throwing shade on Metamorpho. That's him saying. I remember
burying him with him was like the priest guy was like, but you guys come back to life all the time, so no one cares anymore. And I was like, that's not why.
I don't know. I read that as Superman just dissing the shit out of Metamorpho and being at my funeral. It was more people showed up.
Superman's never. He's Superman.
Like, were even the people that Metamorpho?
It's sad that no one showed up.
Like, were they even there? Like the other league members
it was
that
just
Metamorpho
Superman.
saved?
The other Justice League members that he saved while dying weren't even there.
Shit to do.
All right, we're jumping ahead.
They're drinking. Their heads are in an alcohol glass in a bar, and they're really upset because they're not on the JLA anymore.
Another cool note about issue 1 that I did enjoy to bring something positive. We get a little Flash Superman race. I enjoyed that. The two of them kind of racing together. I enjoyed that. That's always fun.
One thing I found hilarious was how terrible and useless the current Justice League members were. They couldn't even get their escape pods to work, and they had to sacrifice one of their team members to get to Earth. Like, how can you live on the moon when none of y'all can get back to Earth?
I think they're not. I think it's a commentary on they're not at all prepared for a direct frontal assault like that. Like, they're just used to stopping bank robbers.
Yeah.
Well,
that guy has a laser gun.
They're literally the escape pods aren't working, and they're like, well, I guess we're fucked. We have no way to get
Metamorpho's like, don't worry, I'll be a shuttle. And meanwhile, they're not like, won't that kill you on re-entry?
Well, I mean, I agree it's a bad look. I think from Morrison's viewpoint, it was probably to showcase how this newer JLA is necessary, that the older one was maybe not as good. Yeah. Also, I don't think they were on the moon. I think this was a space station.
It is. Yeah.
Semantic.
The moon comes later.
Before we move on from issue 90s. 1, I have one big note to make, but I'll wait till y'all finish whatever you've got to say about issue 1.
Oh, I'm good. I'm ready for 2.
Oh, I have a giant issue 1.
I think it might be the same note. So you go first.
I want to talk about when Batman shows up. Let me start in on this. So the way we're introduced to Batman, the rest of the Justice League is at the Watchtower, whatever, talking about shit, and they're like, we're all here. Oh, where's Batman? And at that point, from the fucking rafters, you hear, I've been here for an hour. Batman's been waiting for an hour. And I want to discuss that because this is a Batman staple. A lot of writers do this kind of thing of he's always a step ahead. He's always in control.
Yes.
He always shows up
So,
like, no, I've
here's the
been
thing.
here the whole time. I know what you're saying. But I want to talk about logically. So, first of all, how much time does he have in a day where he can waste an hour in the rafters of the fucking watchtower just chilling with his friends?
What
Right,
makes
A.
you think he's wasting
B,
any time? He's Batman, number one.
Okay, B, well, let me go. All right. B, these are people he knows. Like, this is, if you guys showed up to record
Yes.
and 15 minutes in, you said, where's Alessandro? And I'm in the ceiling going, I'm up here. I've been here all day waiting. Like, what do I gain? What do I gain from spying on my friends for an hour? And then B, again, not visual. This hour, he has been in a deep fucking crouch. Like, he's a man in his mid to late 30s. If I were to crouch like that, like in a deep squat
30s.
for an hour, for a solid hour, I would need medical intervention to straighten my legs back out.
You know why though? Because you're not Batman, Al.
I think he is putting a lot of strain. Look, he's putting a lot of strain on those knees, and I don't think there's a reason to do that.
He jumps across rooftops.
I don't know.
He leaps down 3 stories and kicks someone in the face for his landing.
Joe,
he's good.
I know that these heroes are ageless, but at this point in continuity, he's got to be at least 35, and that is a lot of strain.
Also,
to put on your knees
to put it in
past 30.
context for you, he doesn't know these people. He doesn't know Green Lantern almost at all. He doesn't trust Martian Manhunter, never has. He doesn't know Wonder Woman almost at all. He doesn't know Wally other than that guy hangs out with my Nightwing guy. So he's watching them because he's watching them, and that's what he does. That's what he's doing. 2, he comes out right after Superman gets there, the one person he does know and trust. And the reason he was waiting is he wanted to see if his stupid device worked, that Superman would hear his fucking heartbeat. So if he was standing in the room, it wouldn't have mattered. He's testing his thing out.
He also he has
something
very
Batman
sharp
would
claws.
do.
He has very sharp claws in this. I don't know if you noticed.
It's interesting.
Kitty's
drawn
got claws.
Again, this initial issue is drawn not that great. He gets better.
+1 to everything Alessandro said. Joe, you make some solid points. However, why did they have him crawling out? He's in like a crawl space in the attic. He's not coming out of the monitor room or something where he's been doing
There's grease. You can see grease spots of like, he's so up in there. It's all like cobwebs and grease spots.
It's like definitely cleaner than Gotham City. Wherever
it's literally a place no one on the league has been up into for like years. That's where he is. Why did he tell them he's been there for an hour? Why didn't he just
that part is funny.
Wait,
he's getting in their heads. You guys just don't know Batman. Come on.
Why didn't he just say, I'm already here. I've been here. It was just like, I was like, why? It would have been hilarious to me if in the next panel, Kyle or Wally like whispered to the other, like, did he say he's been here for an hour?
They should have done that. That would have been good dialogue.
I don't know if y'all remember, but
Morrison.
In our Strange Adventures episode, we talked about Batman creeping on Alana. And the question was, how long will Batman wait?
To make his entrance?
An hour, yeah, at least an hour. I think this might be when they were. I don't know. I'm like talking out of my ass right now, but trying to really show Batman is smart and kind of a detective and secretive and all this stuff. It almost kind of seems a little bit too in your face in these first few issues that he is so like they're trying to go out of their way to be like Batman is a badass. He deserves to be on the Justice League with Superman,
100%,
all this stuff. But it was just like it was too much sometimes. You're like, what?
Yeah, 100%.
Well, you're thinking about it in the context of like current history that you had. Like at the time, this is like brand fucking new. Like Batman and Superman and Wonder. Like all these people had never been on a team together since like the 60s or whatever. You know, like it's just like. The fact that they put these people back together is awesome, and I know they're like smashing it over the head with, like, and it's a little ridiculous, but I still like I don't know. I'm like I completely agree with you guys. It's ridiculous, but also setting the tone of how he's going to be on the team. I guess you know what I mean.
Yeah.
A visual note on Batman 2 in the kind of the very last page that has like the coming up next time whatever. Scroll visually he's very kind of hunched over and hands out, like claws out. It's very reminiscent of Nosferatu. I don't know if you've ever seen, like, it's like a 20s vampire. It's the original vampire film from the 20s, but I feel like maybe the artist was trying to harness that, because a lot of these are kind of Nosferatu-like vampiric poses of hunched over, claws out, bat-like figure. I just thought that was kind of interesting because he's allegedly a hero, and yet visually they're harkening back to the original horror monster.
Is this when Spawn was big? Because I felt like when
Spawn was also big 90s like anti-hero. I was burned alive and dead.
Enough of issue 1. Issue 2. The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Hyperclan. Oh, yeah. another old-timey film reference, of course, to the film The Day the Earth Stood Still, which The Day the Earth Stood Still. Sorry, yeah, I got that
Stood
right.
Phil. No, you had it right the first time. It was Stood Phil.
Yeah, it was Phil.
Stood Phil. Yeah. Which was I think it was a Keanu Reeves movie nobody saw, but before that, it was a 1950s classic sci-fi film.
Keanu Reeves movie no one saw is correct.
That
I feel
happens.
like the rivalry between Green Lantern and Flash is like a little forced and stupid.
Agreed. I hated it. If anything, they should be kind of like on the same side because they're the newbies on the team.
Because they're younger. Yeah.
I mean, Wally, but yeah.
So we should take note of every awkward Wonder Woman gawking and or.
Oh, I have so many thoughts on. I just want to say, this woman is doing God's work. She's got the patience of Mother Teresa, because like they could be fighting Darkseid, Fate of the World, and she's.
I'm glad I'm on
her,
this
it's
angle.
Like, but for her, she's basically walking by a construction site with people catcalling her and shit as she's trying to save the Earth. Like this woman, the patience of a saint to deal with this.
I did like Wonder Woman in this run though, because she's constantly calling out these idiot men, being like, "What the fuck did you just say? It makes no sense. Who the fuck would say that? Why would you ask that question? What are you doing?"
So one other Wonder Woman comment I want to make, not about her physically though, but there's a panel where Green Lantern and Superman arrive to the Watchtower, and the other heroes are there just kind of being busy, like. Mm-hmm. So, and I just want to talk about what they're doing. So, Flash is sitting on some boxes reading magazines, which fair enough. Like you're waiting, okay. John, the Martian Manhunter, is staring at pictureless frames on a wall. And then Wonder Woman has unplugged what look like audio visual cables and is just holding them.
She's
so
about
I just
to
want to talk about what are these
people.
I'm sorry. I want to talk about what are these people doing? This is sociopathic behavior. All right, let's talk about Aquaman, who in this is again 90s Aquaman, which inexplicably he's got a shoulder pad and then a hook arm and is just very 90s. Very.
Oh yeah, he's definitely 90s. But I love the hook hand Aquaman. Beard Aquaman?
Really?
Like this is Are you serious? Beard with a pirate hook? Harpoon hand?
Aquaman shows up. One of my favorite Wonder Woman lines in this first 9 issues. She says, so the Hyperclan is trying to take over the Earth. Pretty sure that includes the oceans as well, Arthur. And Arthur says, I'll decide what my problems are, Diana, and the sea is my responsibility, not yours. And Wonder Woman says, the sea is my responsibility. What a ridiculous thing to say.
I love that but real quick, Patty, he tries to continue the argument and then they get interrupted. That's even better. That's
Loved Wonder Woman in this. I did not like how she was portrayed or denigrated by all the men, but like every time she clapped back at these stupid idiots, I was here for it.
It was great. Yeah,
I agree, awesome. But yeah, I agree on all that. But you're right. It's just the degree to which she's just men are horny for her nonstop. Really. Even though I didn't directly read these comics, like Wally West Flash, Kyle Rayner Green Lantern, Connor Green Arrow, these were the heroes that when I was young were the heroes. So even though I didn't actually read the comics, I know exactly what you're talking about. Hook Hand Aquaman, Cripple Aquaman, these were the heroes I grew up with. So even though I didn't read this comic at the time, like I grew up with kind of that as the image of Green Lantern is Kyle Rayner, right? Wally West is Flash. Like that's my touchstone for that. And I've got to say, reading back on it, Kyle Rayner sort of sucks. I don't know. He wasn't.
He's not well
written.
My
memory
book,
of him was. Yeah, he's not, or he's really not. But
he is later on in the run, but not right now.
I suppose, but I was just a little bit let down by
idiot that like doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah,
he says a lot of stupid
but
shit.
I just remember growing up with him as Green Lantern and thinking, yeah, he's cool. But then reading this, he just I was a little bit let down by.
Didn't
So
like
I
how
think in Kyle Rayner's origin, when he became Green Lantern, Mongol, I think is the villain name. I think he murdered
No,
Kyle's girlfriend.
No, it wasn't Mongol. It was somebody else.
Major Force.
Major
Force.
Force, yeah.
Okay, that's it.
But
So
yeah, they
Major-
literally murdered his girlfriend and put her in a refrigerator.
Put in a fridge.
Yeah, but this was this was when comics were trying to be like gritty by just here's nonsensical violence and we're realistic.
But the point I want to make with that is that it's weird to me that Kyle is like so weirdly misogynistic and horny for Wonder Woman because he just became Green Lantern. So his girlfriend, and I think they make a comment that they were like planning on getting married, maybe like pretty serious relationship. Like she was just murdered probably a few months ago. So seeing him being all horny over Wonder Woman, it was very strange because technically you'd think he'd still kind of be really messed up about what happened to his girlfriend.
Gail Simone like
dating
termed
somebody else.
that like it's basically like a trope that like she uses it to mock in storylines. It's basically like the Makamori test and the that we do, the Bechdel test. But she called it like women in she literally gave it
I have heard of
refrigerator syndrome. And it's like basically just the use of female like character or like gets either killed or injured, and that's like the impetus of the hero, like the male hero.
Yeah, that's the That's the character building thing that the hero needs.
Example of that was just so on the nose that like she was like, it's like this, dummies. It's literally an example of the things that we try not to do in comics anymore.
Well, it's typical. So to Gail's point, I guess theoretically, it's typical hero's journey. You get the call to action, you refuse it, and then trauma happens, and then you do take the call to action. But I think to Gail's point that the post refusal trauma has to be a woman being violenced against is right. Let's talk about Wally physically.
Immediately takes apart this dude.
Yeah, that was.
Let's talk about Wally physically. What is going on here?
He definitely registers on the Snyder Zoo scale there for sure.
100%. I mean, he is fucking
Wally West.
He is swollen.
Wally West is on the Snyder scale. Oh, I can't wait to see this.
No, I agree with you, Joe. I loved how Wonder Woman, Aquaman, all like the kind of veterans get taken down by the Hyperclan counterparts, and then Wally just like decimates Zoom, and then Kyle kind of holds his own till like the two rookies are kind of,
and then saves Kyle too. He comes back and stops the Captain America shield from hitting him.
Yeah, also, I didn't. This is kind of a macro point, but I did not understand why I understood it at first, but why did they try to like make their powers so specialized in the Hyperclan at that point? If you've already mind controlled,
they're not really trying to hide it though. I think they're just trying to trick all of humanity still. Like they still need, they're not like, it's not like every single person on the planet has been like mind wiped yet. Like they're really trying to like play it up as if they are like saviors and individuals when in reality they're just Martians.
Also, as somebody, I have a lot of experience in manipulating other humans, so I'm sure I can only extrapolate, but I'm sure that mind control is easier if you also kind of act the part. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like probably, if I'm I don't know what example to use, but
trying
like,
to convince you that I'm saving the world and really I'm going to enslave you, and I look like a superhero, you might believe it.
Yeah, right. That's what I mean. Like if they act the part and look the part, maybe the mind control's a little bit easier of like, hey, look at me. I am this thing I look like. Rather than just, I'm a horrible Martian monster. Trust me.
I agree.
That might be a harder
I just don't
mind control thing.
Even like after they're kind of outed, they still
keep doing it though.
Like especially the Captain America one. I'm like, you're like Superman. Why are you still fighting like Captain America, you idiot? Like, what are you doing?
Well, Patrick, I think this is a reflection on, the unfair models that our society puts on people. These are Martians who look like Martians, but they read Us and People magazine, and they see Chris Evans as Captain America and Chris Hemsworth as Thor, and they think that's what I need to look like. This is a real issue that's hurting our teens and our Martians. Right. Well, as the team's getting taken out, we do get a little interesting note of John Jaon's not being taken out, but being talked to. Little Martian to Martian conversation going on.
Yeah, no. Wally gets there, and then Kyle shows up, and Wally's like, "Where's John?" And he's
Where's
like,
John? He's usually here, and then they fight. Yeah.
He's like, I don't know where he is. They lose track of each other quite a bit in these issues.
They're a brand new team. They don't know how to jive together yet. They're working it out. Yeah, so they get taken out. Batman gets his bat plane crashed. Superman gets taken down by kryptonite. Wonder Woman and Aquaman are taken down. You don't see what happens to Kyle and Wally yet.
Yeah.
But the end of the issue is basically like, oh, they're fucked. But they don't go. They go out of their way to go, yeah, don't search for Batman. Like, we don't need to find his body. His plane's on fire. Like, so they do kind of say it, like, if it's not already obvious. I don't know.
Here's the thing though with that. If you look at that last page of issue 2 and Primate is staring at the bat plane wreckage, Batman's reflection is in the glass there. Like he's standing maybe 12 feet away.
Yeah, it is. Shh. She can't see him on the other side.
Well, I also when we get to the reveal, when we get to the Martian reveal, I have a lot of comments about Batman's deduction capabilities. But we can get to that later.
All right, so issue 3.
But yeah, to Patrick's point, yes, he's definitely in the reflection, and she's just looking at him saying, nothing there.
I don't know.
He's probably dead. He's probably dead, you guys. Let's go.
All right, issue 3, we've got a little Clockwork Orange on the cover with Superman tied down and being forced to watch shit. And there's Batman behind Protex and like a pretty big spoiler that Batman's not dead.
You guys think about the them manipulating with his mind that has kryptonite nearby.
Was that not kryptonite?
It's not real.
No, it's just a mental thing.
It's like psychosomatic, and he realizes it later that it's not real.
All right, let's talk about Martians. Let's talk about them. I didn't know what Martians were until the Justice League cartoon.
Which is
because that's what
my recommendation. If you ever wanted to read this book, just watch that first.
Oh yeah,
100%.
Story arc of the Justice.
But
League
I didn't,
cartoon.
I didn't know what Mars was and what the Martian Manhunter was until the cartoon.
It's not the Martian Manhunt. It's just John's.
But he's from Mars, and just dude, I know all about their culture.
Mars.
Okay,
Joe,
I know a lot about their
respect.
culture.
You can at least try to pronounce it correctly.
Martian, okay,
Manhunter.
Oh, sorry.
Actually, he's a person hunter now as well, Patrick. So let's show some respect to everybody.
No, he just hunts men. If you're a female that's done something wrong or anywhere else on the spectrum of life, he doesn't care. Just men.
Yeah. Okay. Contract.
But back to what I wanted to, the point I wanted to make is when I first saw the Justice League and Martian Manhunter, my first reaction was, this dude, why isn't this guy the most powerful creature in the universe? He can do fucking anything. He has Superman's powers, Kitty Pryde's powers, and
he has every
Professor
power.
X powers. He has every power. And
he does. I think you're all right. So he has Superman's powers, but he's not as strong as Superman. He's not as fast.
Okay, whatever. He's Metamorpho, Superman, Kitty Pryde, Professor X.
Same
he's basically
Professor
all powers.
X. Like he can do things, but not like that. He's no Professor X.
My main comment on
he's
Martians
a jack of all
DC
trades,
master
of none. Okay, that must be it. But my comment on DC is these Martians have all powers basically, and it's just weird that they don't just rule the universe.
So I did like when Flash fought Zoom, he was losing, and he was like, "Oh wait a minute, I'm faster than him." And then he just kicked his ass.
Pretty much.
Wait a minute, I'm faster. I'll just punch him one time at the speed of light, and we're done.
Yeah, he literally like laps him.
Yeah,
he runs past him and then comes up behind him in 2 frames. So it's not really obvious that he laps him, but he definitely lapped him. He's just like, oh, I'm way faster than this. Woo! Around the earth once. It just crushes him. It was awesome.
Pretty wild.
Yeah. And so the rest of issue 3 is so right. But then in the meantime, Batman breaks into the Martian base and they send people after him. And then he uses his bat skills to take them out.
I did like so Kyle Rayner's an artist, and I feel like they don't really focus on it as much in more recent comics, but in the 90s they really I think focused on that. So his constructs are always really bizarre and weird, which I enjoy.
Again, this is like new to the comic reader at this point. Like
he's also immune.
But like to Green Lantern before this, it was literally like the big boxing glove and like the giant baseball bat and stupid shit like that. Like,
Right,
this
yeah.
kind of like giant robot like constructions with his ring and stuff were like everyone was like, what? You know, and it was
He's
all like
also
contributed to
immune,
the fact that he can like imagine more because he's an artist or whatever.
And he's immune
Which I
to
kind of
yellow,
enjoy.
which
He's
other Green
he
Lanterns
doesn't
aren't.
have the impurity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Parallax. Parallax doesn't exist inside of his ring.
Yeah.
Because it's in How. I did
Yeah,
revisit
so what
that
else
on
are-
our text thread when he goes crazy and kills everyone. And to think that was
Yeah.
like what the like continuity was that Green Lantern went crazy and killed a bunch of
killed
people.
everyone.
That was
It was true.
insane.
Yeah,
It's kind of a
that
shame
is
they
Yeah, but
retconned.
again, but
I
this
always
goes back to
lamented
this
that
was
they
the
walked that back because that was like so fantastic.
but this was the
Mhm.
whole thing of that. This was post 80s, post your boy Frank Miller revolutionizing the world with The Dark Knight Returns. This is gritty adult comics, and stuff gets violent, and people get
And your
murdered.
girlfriend gets
And
shoved into
the
her
Green
refrigerators.
Lantern was like the peak. He's just insane and murders people.
I was just saying, I know we're talking about JLA, but what causes Hal to lose his mind is that Coast City or Coastal City?
Coast
His
City,
hometown is
yeah.
destroyed. And so he
Yeah.
goes crazy and he recreates the entire city with his
Yeah, he spends
Green
like
Lantern
3
ring.
days recreating the entire city and just living there, like as if all the
Yeah.
people are still alive.
But he
And then when
meets his
other Green
dad.
Lanterns come down and go, "Hey, something's wrong with you," he kills them and takes their rings so he can keep doing it. He's insane.
The most insane part, though, is that he conjures up a construct of his dad who's been dead for a long time. And the dad just tells him how big of a failure he is. And that's all like just coming from Hal's brain. It's like, it was a very good storyline. I can see how people who are fans of Hal probably fucking hated it. But yeah,
I thought it was
anyways,
fantastic.
that was great.
Also, Kyle had to fight him because being the only
Yeah.
Green Lantern left, he
Yeah.
had to fight him. It was
Yeah, yeah.
awesome.
But that's what I mean is my comment earlier of I remember liking Kyle as a Green Lantern, but in this run, all he does is just make creepy Wonder Woman comments. And
Not all he does. The rest of the time, he's making
That's a
stupid
lot of what
comments
he
like
does.
he's an idiot. Kyle and Wally infiltrate the base and figure sort of some stuff out, like where everything is and what's going on. I did like the real quick of like, how'd you get that thing to work so fast? Like the very first time, and he's like, it wasn't the first time, it was like the 10,000th time. When Wally's like messing with the computer, he's like, it was like the 1,000th time. But they figure out a little bit more, but they just get immediately taken out. Like, and this is the panel that you were talking about, Patty, before.
Yeah.
The bad guys come in and they're like, "You're in trouble, Flash." And then the very next panel, they're like knocked out and getting put into a torture device.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
Makes
that
no
was
sense.
fast. I love the fact that Mortal goes off to find Batman and then he doesn't return, and they send 3 more and they don't return
Yes.
either. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
yeah, it's very it is
Especially because the whole
very-
Justice League has been beat up by them, and I'm just like, I know this is just sucking Batman's dick for the readers that love Batman, but I'm like, I'm in it. I love it. It's
Yeah,
great.
no, great. Because it
No,
kind of
I was going to say, yeah, it's very Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, it almost makes like a little horror movie for a few panels where Batman is the monster like slowly picking people off.
And they think they like snuck up on him, and he's just like, "No, I just got you surrounded with fire. I know what I'm doing." like
Yeah,
you're
and
an idiot.
it happens in Batman movies a lot too. It's always a grunt gets like taken out, and the others are like, "Oh, where is he?" I mean, it's just very Batman. This idea of he's just picking people off. It'd be great if the 3 Martians were looking for him, and they were like, "I wonder if Batman's here," and he just says, "I've been here an hour. I've been here for over an hour waiting in the in the greasy rafters." But yeah, and he has a match. No, just he uses a match, makes a gasoline fire.
That's the only downside. I mean, that's pure 90s comic, so I can look past it. But like the fact that they talked for that long before he lit the fire is ridiculous. Like they're Martians and they could just rip them apart before he lights it on fire.
I know we talked about how they're not like Professor X, but how does Martian mind reading work? Because they don't read
That's why
Batman's
they need all
mind,
these
obviously.
devices and orbital ships to like cast out a wider net, because they're not like Professor X.
But
like,
they can't just sense that Batman is there
mind
and his
wipe the
intention. Isn't that basic mind reading?
sure
I mean, I don't even
Batman-
read minds, and I could
I'm sure
figure
Batman's
that
got
out.
protocols for that.
Yeah, he would just say, huh, "Device worked." You know,
My new mind suppressing device worked.
device worked.
So going
What
back to
happened-
how I really loved how Kyle's constructs were very artistic.
Yeah.
There's one point when they're when the JLA is making their comeback and kicking the shit out of the Martians. Kyle just like summons a 16-ton weight to crush one of them.
Oh.
And Wally's running by, and Wally just goes, low quality finished lantern.
Yeah. Well, one, Wally's giving Green Lantern extra shit because they're trying to amp up this rivalry for some reason. But two, the whole joke is that that's what Hal would have done. Like it's a boring thing.
And then right after that,
right, so
Aquaman gives the guy a seizure with his mental powers, which I didn't know he could do. But
by finding the point in their brain that was evolved from sea life.
No, hold on.
The Basel.
Insane.
The Basel.
Yeah, well, now we're in issue 4. So I do want to. There's a lot I want to talk about in issue 4. To start off with, at the very beginning, so Superman's tied up, and there's a kryptonite, and he's all like, "Oh shit, I'm a prisoner." Once he finds out they're Martians, he is filled with an almost racist rage against Martians. And that's what fuels his ability to. But what does he have against Martians? I can only describe this.
I think it's really just more like enraged of like, how dare you trick me for this long and I've been captured and you're Martian. I don't think he's like, you're Martians, I need to murder you. I think it's just like, you're Martians.
To me, it seemed like an almost specifically directed towards Martians racist rage of, now I'm angry. Now that I know you're Martians, now I'm mad, and I'm going to burn you.
If there was pre-established that pale Martians were evil, then I could accept it. But I think this is the first time they've ever been like invented. If I'm not mistaken.
It's honestly weird he figured it out, considering John is supposed to be the last. I think they're all.
Another thing Morrison tries to do with Superman and Batman constantly is make Superman like one step behind Batman. Like if Batman figures something out, he wants Superman to be like as good as him, and he makes Superman figure it out like shortly after.
Yeah,
I have 3 points to make on issue 4, but I'll let them come up naturally.
All right. Well, I just wanted to start with.
Go ahead,
so because it was like the very first page, I wanted to bring up Superman's almost racist rage against Martians. And then I don't know where this is from. I made a note, Protex filling up Superman, pretty sexual. I don't know where that was, but I made that note.
I read that too. No, it's at the end. He wraps around him and says like, because he's at that point it's revealed they're Martians or whatever. He just like covers Superman up and he goes, "Do you feel me? Do you feel me feeling you? Do you feel like it's?"
Oh,
really,
there it is.
Like,
that was it. Yeah, that must have been it.
It's. Do you feel me inside you? Like it's like a lot. I was like, wow, that's right. Can you feel me filling you up? Can you feel me sealing you off from the outside world? I can penetrate your blood vessels.
And then I did make the note, Patrick, to what you brought up earlier. Martians evolved from fish? ? How is that fucking possible? How did Martians
brings up the
also
question,
evolve
does
from fish?
Aquaman have the ability to speak to like sea life on any planet? I guess then he must, right?
Well, but he could lobotomize a human. He could lobotomize a human, right?
He'd at least give you a seizure, right? Didn't we all come out of that?
Well, the seizure thing, the seizure thing he could do that to any creature on Earth.
It's just one of those powers.
This is definitely an overreach, and they never bring it back up again, and they shouldn't have done it in the first place. This is Morrison being like, "What about this?" And they're like, "No."
It's like an Avatar: The Last Airbender. When you figure out blood bending, it's kind of like, well, you can just do anything. It's just like that version of that where you could just control or seizure anybody, but he never seems to do it. So it was just kind of a random. And also just the fact that an alien species is also evolved from sea life. And that Martian sea life is similar enough to Earth sea life that Aquaman could lobotomize.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make any sense at all.
It's weird.
Well, it's like, why didn't you do that 2 issues ago when you first fought them? Why did you wait till now?
Yeah, why saving it? Why did you save it for the final?
Why did
you think this was
why
the
don't
final?
You do that? Well, my
why
question
do you do
is
it to Black Manta every time you're fighting?
Yeah, no, exactly. In the 60s,
you'd still have your other hand.
Why not just fight crime like that? Like just from the beginning, fight crime doing that.
Just Aquaman just walking around on dry land the whole time, just like, you're down, you're down, you're down.
Yeah, lobotomized. Oh, you're frozen. Lobotomized, frozen. Oh,
seizure.
Oh, Lex Luthor, nice to meet you. Seizure. Oh, the Joker, great seizure.
And also, the only time he's done it was a Martian, which is even weirder.
Another note I made: Wonder Woman's clothing. She's basically naked in this issue. Every scene she's in, she's angled in ways that just you see very little clothing on her. We've got to do
One of the
better,
most-
Howard Porter.
He does later on.
Going back to how I loved Wonder Woman's dialogue in these issues, she fights Primate. She takes Primate up into space. They're fighting in space. She comes back down, and Kyle, Green Lantern, says, "How long can you hold your breath?" And Wonder Woman says, "Obviously longer than Primate. What a strange question to ask."
I also like how in that non-conversation about holding your breath, Batman's just like, I could hold my breath for 3 minutes. and 50 seconds."
It's like 3 minutes, 15 seconds.
You'd be surprised why.
Also, he's bringing in
What?
4 Martians at that point. I think he's blatantly just like flexing.
Yeah, what was the you'd be surprised why is Batman's like, I also suck dick. That's why I can hold it for so long.
There's a lot of reasons.
What does he mean by you'd be surprised why? Like Alfred's been training me since
I think
was
that's
a
the
young
key.
man.
You'd be surprised. There's a lot of reasons.
Okay. Well, I guess now we know how Batman spends his hours when he's not.
I
in a
love how they
rapture.
have the main guy, the main Martian, like after Superman takes him out, just like surrounded by big candles in the end.
Yeah,
When Superman addresses the Earth.
I thought the same thing. That was an odd choice.
Like I always assumed it was like a lot of fire you need. Like you can't just light a match. Like I mean, they literally say like you can't just light a match. That's ridiculous. And then Batman like lights the room up on fire, and then he's like, "Yeah, let's fight." But then they
Yeah, I
like
thought it
say,
was,
"People of Earth, go like stop these aliens. We won't have time to get to you all. We're gonna try to help." And then like literally shows everyone just like hold up candles and burning pieces of paper and stuff. And I'm like, that's not gonna help.
Well, I have
mean,
a lot
guess
of
if
thoughts.
everyone did it, it's a lot of fire, but like they need like bonfires. You know what I mean?
But
I don't know.
I also give it, well, I just a lot of thoughts. So for one thing, I think the candle circle was more to give it the sort of image, the sort of a demonic imagery of this kind of monster looking Martian in the middle of a circle of candles, kind of like an almost arcanic, like demonic
Sure.
visual.
Sure.
In terms of spurring on the people of the earth to light fires, to fight
was
Martians.
weird.
I don't know if that's the most responsible, given that the state of California is burning 365 days a year. I don't know if that's the most responsible hint that the Justice League
Listen,
could give, but
that's what you got to do. You got to do it. You know, that's how you beat.
well, they
the
didn't get everyone because we get an epilogue of just a firefighter who's a Martian, so they didn't get everybody.
No, what are you not getting from that, Al? Did you read this?
Al, what? You're joking, right?
Did you read this, Al?
Epilogue.
That's
There's
their
a firefighter
punishment. That's
washing
what
his
Martian
face.
Manhunter did to them. He made them people like regular people and put them on Earth. Like,
Oh,
instead of
granted,
prison.
I didn't read the dialogue boxes. That's a good point.
Are you serious?
So you just looked at the pictures.
I'm 100% serious. I did not. I saw epilogue and I was like, I don't need to read the dialogue. I'm done. I just thought it meant maybe there's
No, actually, they
Martians
don't
among
even
us
say it
we
there.
don't know
It's
about.
before that. It's when Superman and Martian Manhunter are talking about punishment and how Jean should be the only one that like can say what to do with them because he's the only Martian. Basically, I said like there are methods, punishments you may not approve of, but I must be the final arbiter. You do not know the culture. You are not there because they did genocide to the Green Martians. So I guess
Right.
they punish
I'm
them
gonna
by
be
like clearing their minds of the fact that they're Martians, but they have like this suspicion that's there all the time. I don't know.
But
Yeah.
they're not completely mind wiped. Their whole point is that they remember they were something else, but they can't remember what that thing was. But I'm like, isn't that really irresponsible?
No,
They're trying to. They're actively
called
24/7. Batman and Superman. I can't see them be like, oh yeah, John, just do whatever the fuck you want with these pieces of shit. Like I don't care.
When we are recording this episode, the most
Yeah.
recent episode we released is Identity Crisis, which is about what
there's a lot
happens
of
when you mind
similarities.
wipe somebody and the
Yeah.
issues with it. And it's weird that in this story, though, Batman and Superman are both like, oh, sure, mind wipe the person. I think it speaks to a difference in mindset between mid-90s mainstream continuity JLA and mid-2000s crossover event and just kind of maybe, I don't know.
It does.
The
it does.
writers
I-
and the audience's palette was maybe
Yeah.
a little bit more
Refined and
mature
interesting.
and able
Yeah.
and able to look at something like, should heroes mind wipe somebody to resolve a
Yeah.
conflict
Here's my
flippantly
question.
like that?
John agrees with them in that he should be the last one to decide. And he's like, you weren't there. It's a long story. I'm like, we got time. Tell me the story. then I can help you decide what to do.
Yeah.
What do you mean? That's it? Yeah, you weren't there. Yeah, I know we weren't. Why don't you explain it to us? And then like maybe we could help you with this burden.
But anyways, that was the insanity of the first run on.
Yeah, that
Morrison's
first
JLA.
arc is a little crazy. And I think I know it doesn't hold up well at all. And I would say watch the JLA or the Justice League cartoon version of it because it's way better. But
Yeah.
there's still some ideas there that I'm like, okay, I like them looking at the desert after they had like terraformed the desert and then going like, this wasn't sustainable. Like, should we be doing this?
Yeah.
Like that whole question, that idea is like interesting. I just don't think it was asked well or answered well.
Right.
Like, like the premise is there, but like nothing else is there, unfortunately.
So I had a whole rant ready because a lot of kind of big picture points in this first Martian arc were very reminiscent of storylines in the Authority comic. Both the idea of like a rival super team taking people out, and then a Batman-like person saving the day, kind of like Midnighter did. And the idea of, should a superhero team do more than just protect people? Should they Should they actively try to rule the world and make it a better place? Are all things that were handled in the Authority. And I was going to tie it in as Morrison repeating himself until I realized that I was thinking of Mark Millar's run on the Authority and not Grant Morrison, who was a different human being. So that whole thing went out the window. So now we can talk about issue 5. Sorry, I just wanted to make that one point because I do think a lot of themes hinted at by Morrison in this JLA thing were more deeply hit.
Like I said, the premise is there, but it's like the execution of it is piss poor.
So issue 5, what the fuck? Let's talk about
Electric.
Just to not to back it up again, but just the Authority storyline you're talking about was actually written by a guy named Tom Payer.
I have no idea. There was some arc when they all got
either way.
The Midnighter
correction,
not Grant Morrison.
Still not Morrison, but you're also
unpopular opinion, I think. But I actually fucking loved Electric Superman. Like
I really did too. Weirdly, I think mainly because I knew it was temporary. Wait, why did you like it?
I wouldn't mind.
Give me background on what the F is. Why is he like? Because I thought it was him reviving as that after he died. But
no,
why
this
is he
later on.
What's going on?
Obviously, and I'm gonna butcher the fuck out of this, but here's my memory of this. Superman in his own issues, there was some sort of like sun flare or something going on with the sun, and he was like over irradiated.
Yeah,
and then he was losing control of his heat vision and like burning shit down, and like he got really huge, like the Hulk sort of, I think, like at some point, and then it was just insane, and it didn't last long. But basically, he figured out that his body was ripping apart, and that he wouldn't be able to like contain himself, and then he essentially just did rip apart, turned into energy, but while they were figuring this out, they like built him a containment suit. So his suit is so he's basically like Wildfire from the Legion. Like he's just energy, and they contained him in like an electric suit. And then later on, like there was 2 of them, like Superman Red and Blue was a thing, and like I don't know, it got weird, and then he got back to normal, so it doesn't matter. But the initial burst of like him having electric powers, I'm like, this is interesting for a minute. I'm into it.
Well, I was just going to mention what we hinted at earlier about Metamorpho's funeral actually happens here at the beginning of issue 5. So Superman, and I quote, "It just seems a little sad. There were so many people at my funeral. Poor Rex." He's throwing a little bit of shade at Metamorpho. I just want to make a point of all the statues are Barry Allen, Hal Jordan, Oliver Queen. Like these are all people that do come back. Yeah, I just thought that was interesting. Yeah, those are all back. Yeah, well, the main sort of plot point of this issue is the JLA is looking for more members. They're auditioning new members.
Mm-hmm. Who is Hitman? Because he just seems like the most 90s character I've ever seen in my entire life.
Very much a 90s character, and he disappeared.
He is very 90s.
Yes. I think he actually eventually is on the team for like a minute.
Was he created specifically to be like DC's Gambit? Because that's all I saw when he was on the panel.
That's an interesting.
Well, he's sort of like a Punisher Gambit.
Yeah, Punisher.
Yeah, if you blended Gambit and Punisher, I feel like it's kind
or
of
maybe since Wildstorm and Image were so huge at this point, it was maybe
yeah.
like what's his name, Grifter. Like, look at Guy Gardner right now.
Guy Gardner's
like,
insane.
What's
his powers were like his like hands could turn into guns or something.
Yeah, he just like
something ridiculous.
His arms would just change, and there was like a Punisher villain with that exact same thing. Anyway, it's weird.
The person they do kind of let into the league who aces her interview is this Tomorrow Woman. Who
I like how she aces her interview by almost murdering them all, but then stopping it. She's like, let me blow the ceiling up. Oh, are you wondering why those bricks aren't smashing into your skulls? That's me too.
I also want to bring up Justice League doesn't seem to do background checks.
Oh, man.
People's identities
no background check.
Secret identities.
Joe, if I want to work at McDonald's, I'd have to do a background check. This woman just gets to.
Yeah, but if Hamburglar wants to work at McDonald's, they're like, I guess you're okay. You're wearing a mask. You have a cape.
I'm pretty sure he'd have to do a drug test and a background check like everybody else.
They do offer memberships out though. Like it's weird because they have, obviously, are these auditions or interviews? They reject a bunch of people, and then this angel shows up in a few issues, nearly like destroys the planet. He's clearly a pervert, and Superman's like, "Hey man, want to be in the JLA?"
There used to be a guy on our team with big wings.
We need one of those.
Wanted to know if you wanted in.
I do want to make a point. This angel also sexually harassed one of their team members as well.
She goes, I'd like to have seen more women, Wonder Woman. And then Kyle goes, I'll second that. And then he's like, I mean, no
Joe,
like,
I have,
come on.
The actual note I have is Wonder Woman asking for more women on the team, and then Kyle ruins it.
Yeah.
Was my note I had from that moment.
My note is, I didn't read too much 90s Kyle. Was he always so horny? His girlfriend just died.
Morrison. It's just Morrison. He's not like this in his own comic at all.
Should we just summarize this issue?
There's another thing. Like, I'm a mutant born with 4-lobed brain. My powers appear to be entirely telekinetic in nature. My guess is I'm the first of some new species born ahead of my time. Great. But I already have a girlfriend. This is Kyle again. Like, what the fuck? She wasn't talking to you about having sex, man. Just telling her about herself.
Listen, Joe, if you're an alpha, they're always talking about sex with you, bro.
That's true. But I already have a girlfriend now. So.
That's just what it is. Cliff notes, Tomorrow Woman is an android created by Dr. Ivo and somebody else.
Professor
Tio Morrow.
Why is Ivo?
Tio Morrow, yeah.
Was Professor Ivo always a gross monster?
No, that was something weird that they were doing.
Why is he a weird monster, man?
Going back to Howard Porter and how Patrick said he drew Underworld Unleashed, that was Neron. The whole storyline there was that like Neron came to like Earth, I guess, whatever, from hell or whatever the version of hell he's from, and enhanced a lot of those super lame supervillains with like the Key and like other villains that were just like super campy and dumb from like back in DC's history. They're like, we need to revive all these guys. So they like made a story arc where like this guy came and just like started granting them powers. Like Captain Cold from the Flash didn't need his gun anymore. He just shot it out of his hand and stuff like just little things like that for the most part. But they really like amped up certain things. I'm pretty sure that him being a little monster man or whatever is part of that.
So Ivo's like, now I'm just a horrifying
Now
monster.
I'm a weird monster, but I can build things really well, like the Beast from X-Men. No relation.
So Ivo invented Amazo and Tio Morrow invented Red Tornado.
That's Tornado, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
So they've created Tomorrow Woman, and they're kind of like, I guess it's a bet to see if Ivo's or if Morrow's
I think that's
artificial intelligence.
I think that's just Morrow doing that for the fuck of
fun.
I don't think they're kind of like competing only in the sense of they're always competing to see who the better one is. So the argument is like, well, have you seen her? She's flawless. And he's like, yeah, but her brain is what makes her better. And like in the end, he's like, the whole idea is that like she learns so well and is so smart and so real and lifelike that she actually like overrides their programming, and instead of killing the Justice League, saves them all, kind of thing, and actually becomes a hero. Which I mean, again, as a one-off issue, it's awesome.
It's so good. It was so
Yeah.
good. It was so refreshing after reading that insane Hyperclan stuff, especially when because the word freedom is not programmed into her like vocabulary, and so Superman asks her why she like sacrifices herself, and it just says like word not in vocabulary or something like that.
My only
amazing.
note
I
from this
loved her.
entire issue was like, she has the best epitaph. Word not present in vocabulary is the best epitaph.
My other point on this issue, though, did Ivo and Morrow, did they create If, the monster that they fight every single day?
Yeah.
So they can just create monsters that the Justice League has no idea how to terminate for like weeks on end.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
what are y'all doing?
Too busy competing.
Well, there's
with
only
each other.
so many days in a week, you know.
Like, if anything,
what
the
you
more
can.
impressive invention is the If monster and not Tomorrow Woman. Like, what's happening?
No, but I think
excellent question.
what makes Tomorrow Woman impressive is that out of artificial intelligence, she was able to create free will and a sense of morals, which is more impressive than the If monster, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
So.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean,
another
Patrick, if you think If the monster is more impressive than that, then I think you should ask yourself some questions.
Like value.
What you prize, what you value in life. Yeah.
Power.
If you value a mindless monster that you can't defeat over spontaneously creating free will.
Topic shift. Another Kyle note. So when Tomorrow Woman sacrifices herself to destroy the If monster, her body's all charred and disgusting. Kyle is standing a good, 30 yards away from her, and he just goes, "It's her, but I don't know what she is. I don't know if we can do anything." Like, you're not even near her yet. Like, what are you talking about?
I honestly, that is bad, but I blame it on the art. Like, you can't really tell that she's like an android until the way up close shot of her eyes being mechanical and stuff. Like,
but my point is, Kyle didn't know she was a robot yet, so he didn't even rush to her.
Well, that's my point. Like, maybe Morrison wrote it in the sense of like, make it an android, and then like he didn't do that well. You know, like I kind of blame Howard Porter on that one, but yeah, you're right. It's another dumb Kyle.
I just think this is another example of Kyle being a piece of shit. This is him saying, "Oh, that woman is now no longer physically attractive, so I don't know what to do with it."
Himself in later issues.
He just comes off as a real piece of shit in these early issues.
He comes off terribly in these issues.
Yeah, he really does. It's really bad.
To me, this honestly just reads as him as saying, "This woman is not physically attractive to me anymore. I don't know what to do with it."
That's exactly what he's saying.
You see how burnt up her skin is? Can we even do anything?
It's disgusting. I mean, he is a piece of shit.
He's just like, and of course he's sitting next to Diana. It's just like, Diana, let's get out of here or something.
Side note, I love that Morrow and like Ivo are just fucking getting drunk the whole issue. It's so good.
They are drinking champagne glass
just
after champagne glass. They're
just
sloshed at the end of this issue. In fact, when the
They're
superheroes show up
as they get captured,
no, that's what I mean. When the heroes show up to capture them, they're sitting there going like, "Awesome, clink, drink more." Yep, and a little framing, but the issue ends with another funeral, just like it began with Superman at a funeral.
You haven't buried many machines, no, and you didn't bury one today. Good job, Superman.
Yeah, Superman's you son of a bitch, you didn't bury one today.
You piece of shit.
But moving on to issue 6, and now we get into so I honestly don't have anything to say because the last 3 issues, all my notes are just, what the fuck? 6 is particularly insane because they're setting up the key for later, but then also Neron is involved and there's angels
and
involved.
He's just hanging out in the plant? Like, is that what I'm seeing right there?
And that's what I understand. Does that just mean
really
that
little and inside of a plant?
I think so.
Neron,
yeah.
Neron is like the god of hate, right? So does that just mean he exists anywhere where there's hate? Because like the nurse was bitching about something, but she wasn't being hateful per se. But yeah, the demons existing inside of the plant next to the Key's hospital bed it's
very strange.
Hard to follow.
Like, that's pure Morrison like insanity to me right there.
But then unrelated to this, angels crash land on Earth and have an angel battle.
Yeah,
it's unrelated, right?
Later, yeah, it is,
I think so. Yeah, it's
completely
unrelated to the Key and Neron. Yeah,
Because you'd think like the demons and the angels would have like a crossover storyline, but that's not the case here. And I think that's what makes it very confusing.
Yeah, because I kept looking for the connection, but I'm not sure there was a connection.
There isn't.
I think it was just setting up.
Yeah. It's just setting up 8 and 9. Flash is putting trophies up in the watchtower. And then he rearranges them. But when he rearranges them, one of them looks like a white Martian head just mounted on the wall. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong. But I'm like, they just decapitate one of the white Martians and just keep it.
Yeah, I think one of them didn't make it. One of the ones they didn't.
One of them just didn't make it.
I mean, the other thing about the Asmodel Angel's plans, I mean, God is eternal. Like, he knows the future. He is living the future and the present. So that you're trying to hide something. Do it
this time, Al.
I just don't understand why bother hiding it, because he's living the future and the present and the past all at the same time. He knows all that's going on.
While Jean meets up with Zoriel and they're discussing how to fight these evil angels, we flip to Wonder Woman and Aquaman, and they are defending Tokyo and Kyoto from an evil otaku who has built robots named Animech and Mangatron. How stupid. What stupid shit.
Porter knows enough to do some hentai covers, I'll tell you what. There's some shibari, like some tied up stuff. There's some tentacle. I mean, we'll get to that in a minute, but somebody knows about hentai.
That's issues 8 and 9, not these ones. I like how Aquaman and Wonder Woman hang on a lot. Like, and I think they kind of started here and they sort of did it before and they kind of keep it going, but it's because like he's king of the seas and she's a princess from Themyscira. Like, they're like royal. They literally consider themselves like above everyone else. And they kind of like get along.
Yes, because
I sort of like that.
They're equally, they're equally socially awkward. They're they're fantasy world royalty, and so they relate to that.
Yeah, I like it.
That's also, Aquaman could lobotomize her at any moment because she's from a fish.
At any time,
any moment,
at any time, he could just lobotomize her.
I mean, she at this point in time though, she's still made from clay, so probably not. I like how quickly the alien or the Justice League responds to this threat versus like how they handle the Martians. It actually does feel like they're like, oh, we got this.
I disagree.
Like, Aquaman immediately smashes through the wall of the scene,
Aquaman.
That was awesome.
The Aquaman part was awesome. That was awesome.
That was cool shit.
These angels have chain belts. Like, their belts are chains.
That's like Ebenezer Scrooge.
I get these are ghosts of Christmas past or whatever showing up.
No, this is the mistakes they made in life.
So there's a scene when Wonder Woman shows up and she crushes the angel's head and she says, "Really, by whom?" And the Martian Manhunter compliments on her ability to use her grammar properly, and then Zoriel says, "You look like an interesting woman." Yeah,
immediately creeps on her. I mean, away, immediately creeps on her.
I mean, what? I mean, we're talking about an angel that left heaven because he fell in love with someone that doesn't even know who he is.
This is City of Angels with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
This is the plot of that movie. Yeah. He falls in love with... This is... I don't want the whole world to see me. It's that movie. He falls in love with Meg Ryan and becomes a human. But I just want to mention, I mean, again, to this comment, like Wonder Woman, they could be fighting Darkseid and she's just in passing by a construction site getting catcalled. Like, for her, it's everybody's got a comment. Everybody's got a comment on her. One way Neron is involved in the angel plot is he and his little demons are moving the moon. Right?
Okay, yeah.
They're the ones moving the moon close.
Fucking around. Like, I don't think they're doing anything. Like, I think they're just, let's fuck with this while we do this for no reason.
I'm totally fine not talking about Neron at all because I have no idea how he factors into the storyline or who is the woman's. He brings up a face of a woman and tells other demons, he's like, "I've got something else for you to play with," but I don't know who that woman is, and it's never revisited. Why are you here?
Is a lot. There's a lot of Underworld Unleashed going on at this point in time, and I think this is the tie-in to it in some way, shape, or form. Like, so if you read that, you might understand what the fuck's going on.
So I guess we can move on. The issue ends with angels from heaven arriving in like a dick spaceship. I don't know what the fuck that is. It's just a giant spaceship that angels arrive on. It looks like a vibrator. It's
I
like
did
a weird vibrator spaceship that just
Well,
arrives.
it had to take corporeal form. Otherwise, it would have smoldered
Otherwise, it would never have penetrated
everything.
our realm.
The other thing is, Aquaman does that badass move and takes the angel out in the water. The rest of the team just flies away, and they're gone for I don't know how long. And then Wonder Woman,
they literally go, "Did we leave him?" And they're like, "Yeah."
It's literally like a Home Alone. It's like a Home Alone moment because Wonder Woman goes, "Where's Arthur? Aquaman? We just left him." And then it cuts to Aquaman, and he's literally being dragged through the sky by the angel by the foot, and it's like that's the funniest fucking shit ever. Like it's Aquaman. Of course, it's Aquaman. The one they forgot.
The next issue is more so Asmodel himself shows up, and it's a lot of just nonsense action, angels on Earth, battles. I do want to make one comment in support of Aquaman. He makes the only non-sexual supportive comment about Diana I think I've read in this whole run. When
they have a strong bond, her and him.
They do, yeah, they have a good rapport. So she and the angel rush in to destroy the ship. And she says, "Watch my back." And the angel says, "I'd pay money to watch your back." Because, of course, he has to make a creepy comment. But
he's
then,
a fucking angel, you guys. He's an angel, and he said that. Like,
really
what the
weird.
fuck?
Yeah, but he's not a
Guys,
real.
this
He's
is
a
the
Nicolas
first time
Cage
he's had like a
angel.
body with like blood moving through it in a long time.
Maybe.
So maybe he's just like having feelings, you know. Like,
Also, he's a Nicolas Cage.
He's like a day
He's a
old,
Cage
you know?
angel. He's here for love. He doesn't want the world to see him. He just wants Wonder Woman to know who he is.
Yeah.
But then Aquaman, when he sees them go up to destroy the ship, says, "Angels meet Diana," and like she's a badass, she'll kill you. Like that's finally a supportive, non-physically centered comment.
Yes.
On Diana. So thank you for that.
Good job, Arthur.
Aquaman. Yeah, he's still
You
crippled,
mean awesome,
but at least
Aquaman.
thank you. Why not get a hand replacement instead of a hook hand?
What do you guys think about what do you mean? Why? What?
I mean, this is clearly a world where if he wanted, he could get a cyborg hand instead of a hook.
Well,
why get a hook?
When he got his hand removed forcibly, he jammed a harpoon into the stump and then beat the shit out of the person that did it, which was amazing. And maybe he just liked it after that.
But isn't a harpoon is a symbol of humanity's murdering of sea life? Why would he use that as his symbol if he cares about sea life?
Like if
anytime
hand.
But if he rides his whale friend, wouldn't that be triggering for the whale friend?
Or that weapon on the enemy of his friends? Isn't that like poetic?
Weird that he prizes sea life and then he's like, well, the symbol of hunting sea life is now on my left arm.
I did enjoy Wonder Woman destroys that ship and it's falling. And Zor-El's like, "I can't believe you did that. That was amazing. But it's going to fall and destroy everything now." And then Wonder Woman just goes, "I assume full responsibility."
First of all, that was hilarious in the moment. But then, like pages later, she's still trying to stop it from hitting everything.
Because she can't do it by herself.
That's what she meant.
Yeah. I agree, Patrick. When I first read her comment, I was ready to rant on this irresponsibility of these heroes to actually save lives.
Actually,
but then later on she does try to stop.
This comic goes out of its way multiple times to describe how they are important and heroes and try to defend everybody.
No, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. It does come back to say like, no, they do, she did actually I'll take responsibility. However, she didn't just mean people will die. I'm fine with it. She meant I'm going to go back and stop it from killing people.
If you say I'll assume full responsibility,
you
should have been able to fly the thing out of there by herself. She's failing. She is falling, and Martian Manhunter and Zor-El have to help her. Like, it was just hilarious to me.
That's true.
I also like how the white Martians are imprisoned by like 5 candles, and then Martian Manhunter can just be burned, and he's like, "I can handle it.
Nothing makes sense.
I'm fine."
They save the world from the angels in Iran, and
Yeah, and Superman fights. So Asmodel is a bull guy. He's got a bull ring on his nose. He's got a bull
they have
nose
different
ring.
hosts of like Zariel's an eagle host of the angels or something like that. They have like different like animal likenesses.
And Green Lantern makes a wheel thing that they spin. That
Okay, yeah. What?
Shakes.
I don't understand. How does the Green Lantern ring work? It's like a wishing machine. Like
Yes,
Kyle just had to think.
That is exactly what a Green Lantern. Yeah, that is what a Green Lantern ring
But
is.
he literally was just like, I'm just gonna make this machine and say that it will reverse the frequency of these angels and send them home. If the Flash,
Wally says you need to build something. I need.
Well, the Flash needs to run on it at the right frequency. He does need the Flash to run the right frequency.
I would understand if like Brainiac 5 from the Legion was there and was like, this is what you need to construct for this to work. But it's like just out of Kyle's imagination. It's like, okay, I'm just gonna
I think so. I don't know why Wally knows this, and I think that's the plot hole you're looking for. But Wally says, "I need you to make something for me." So
I know
he
there's
like
a
knows
plot
what he
hole
needs
no,
to
but
make.
Zariel. So
part that doesn't
Zariel
make any
mentioned. Okay, but Zariel mentioned that the angels are here by matching Earth's frequency. So that's how Wally knows.
Yeah, and that's
that
how
it's
he
a
destroys the
frequency.
one that's like fighting Aquaman.
And to your point, Kyle is an artist, Patrick.
Yeah,
He's
so
an
why
artist.
he's not a scientist? Like, how did
Because
he
it's
figure this
fucking
out?
art. It's not science, asshole. It's art. Okay, it's about
first
emotion.
of all, it is science, but also
it's about expressing what's
Wally
inside,
can learn anything
and
he
that's
needs
how
to learn
art.
in like a millisecond.
Neither of you understand art. It's about self-expression. And that's
Anyway,
what Kyle is doing right now.
Morrison's writing has improved drastically over the years. Well, he is very hit or miss, but this stuff is insane.
It's better than this. Yeah, this shit was crazy.
Like, it's kind of lazy.
I did like the over the top Superman moments though. Him reversing or giving the moon magnetic poles to pull it back into space instead of because you see him gathering big chains and you're like, are you gonna Superman this into space? Like really? Are you gonna wrap big chains around the moon and pull it into space? Because that's ridiculous. And then he uses electromagnetic powers to make a giant like pull. And I was like, that's actually kind of cool.
Well, he also wrestles the
which I
Angel
also
King.
loved.
He
equally.
wrestles
That's
the
what I'm
Angel
saying.
King. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I like the over the top Superman moments in this.
And then, to our earlier point, they just offer the Angel a spot on the Justice League, that was
the reason why, Al, is because there's always been a spot on the team for someone with big wings.
I remember
also,
Zoriel
how
as being
creepy
like
and rapey is Zariel when he like knocks on the woman's door. That does not know him.
It's disgusting.
He's just like, hey.
Look at his
that
face.
he was.
Look at his face.
That's what I'm saying. It's so creepy. It's so extra.
It's
creepy.
kind of. I mean, isn't it kind of implied that he's her guardian angel? Like, which means he probably has watched her since she was a baby. It's all disgusting.
And then issue 8. So issue 8 has the hentai cover where they're all like tentacle tied up. Look at that.
Oh yeah, look at that.
That's some hentai shit.
I actually kind of like that cover, though. I hate to say that now that you bring up the hentai part of it, but I always loved the green arrow, like the bow and arrow.
Yeah, I
all
think
those
it's cool.
super people.
I like it.
Should
now
one
it's
of us
canon
set up the last 2 issues? We can shred through.
I do want to set it up because I love Connor. I was always a big Connor Hawk fan because again, he was my Green Arrow growing up.
Yeah.
So I did like these issues. I do just want to make a point that it's canon now that Patrick likes hentai.
I mean,
people know that.
That's obvious.
We've been there. But so these 2 issues I didn't
be too crazy, but
well, right. But if it's tasteful,
tasteful.
I think it's fine. So I just want to make the point that these issues I didn't really like a ton, although I did like that Green Arrow gets kind of a starring role because I like Connor.
Yeah.
And
I think that's what I like
he
about
gets
it
to have
so
a
much, but
starring
also I enjoy the weird mind worlds they go into. So that's part of it that I like a lot. Also,
so
unbeknownst to you guys, Oscar Jimenez, who draws these 2 issues, draws the Flash, Wally's regular comic at this time period, and I fucking love his art. So when he was drawing this, I was like, yes, I'm into it. So I don't know if it's that part of it, and I'm biased, or maybe good art can really make up for some bad writing because these episodes or issues even read better to me.
Yeah,
his art was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
I know that I've just been shitting on Porter this whole time, but this was so nice to read enjoyable art.
I guess I'm just a sucker for like Elseworlds or like horrible
totally.
futures too, because like I love these issues just because it's like what's going on in their brains. Oh, that's crazy, and I also like the idea that his whole plan isn't to keep them trapped in these mind worlds. His whole plan is that they break out because they always win. I also like that part of it too. There's like a lot of little pieces to this arc that I'm like, this is fucking good.
The color palette is also a little bit more subdued, like less primary, strong colors, a little more. I just liked the art so much more.
I loved Flash's like Elseworld reality. His suit when he turns into like Mercury, pretty much, was pretty awesome.
Aquaman's suit is something. It's just a form-fitting, weird light blue. It's just something.
It's like ocean camouflage.
He still has a hook hand. In his own fucking fantasy, he's a cripple. That's weird. Why don't you fantasize yourself into having two hands? Would be my question to Arthur. But so just a plot point. So the key knocks everybody out and traps them in these sort of hologram hallucination dimensions. Because his plot is that when they realize it's a trick, somehow that triggers enough psychic force to make him God.
It like opens the key to opens the door to another level of consciousness or something like that. Yeah,
it was weird. But in the meantime, Green Arrow arrives because he's going to be interviewing to join the team, and it turns out that he's
like inducted. Like I think it's like he's part of the team. They need to they want to like sit down with him and talk to him. I guess about it first.
But, I thought it was still going to be an interview, but either way, he's right.
Yeah, well, he was in the interview issue, so they're bringing him back, sort of. Like I think they're like you're on the team, kind of thing. Let's meet the first.
Yeah, but there's multiple. I mean, there's multiple rounds of interviews. I mean, you've got like the cultural interview, technical interview. There's a lot of different. Yeah, I don't think he's quite in yet.
Well, I mean, the whole point of this little story arc is to establish that even though Green Arrow has no powers, like he's
useful. Yeah. Which a really fun way of doing that. Like, it brings Green Arrow, a young Green Arrow, Connor, onto the team who's quote unquote inexperienced, but also like really cool shit's going on with the whole Justice League too the whole time. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. Also, I got to see Tim as Batman for the first time ever, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, and also issue 9, not quite hentai, but still a little bit of shibari, kind of like rope tying S&M going on there. For you, that's for you.
Also,
Patrick.
that professor that beams Green Arrow up to the space station or teleports him for the first time, that's clearly Jeff Goldblum, right?
Yeah, there's some similarities there for sure.
Definitely.
That's Jeff Goldblum.
I do, in terms of the Elseworlds, I kind of like the idea of if Superman was a Green Lantern kind of stuff. Like that was kind of a
yeah, I think that was fun.
Thing. So one of the plot points is that the Green Arrow smashes a display case with his dad's, Oliver Queen's, old arrows, and I like how some of them are ridiculous, like 60s, like a boxing glove arrow, and I just like his comment of like he's just like, I don't even know if I can aerodynamically shoot this arrow. I just thought that was hilarious. It was like, I don't know.
When Oliver does eventually come back to life and they're doing like they do kind of mention how like stupid that is and like how impossible that would be to shoot. But it's like they actually kind of explain it in a way of like, that's what makes him so awesome kind of thing. Like you shoot this ridiculous crap. And I'm like, that is kind of an interesting note. I never really thought about that.
Another point, going back to kind of how Kyle's a piece of shit. I like how we never see his Elseworld. And the only time we see him is towards the end when everybody realizes what's going on.
And then Batman's just like, give it up, Kyle. We'd all be dead.
But
you're antimatter, we'd all be dead, you idiot. Snap out of it.
Yeah, but like he just appears as this cyborg thing, and he's like, I'm dictator of Quadrant 800. And they're just like, shut up, Kyle. I just liked but he's just a piece
that
of
is
shit
really funny. I like that.
Yeah, he says go no further, and Batman just side eyes him and goes right on cue, and it cuts to Kyle with his stupid like suit. Yeah, they shit on Kyle a lot.
Yeah, man, Morrison really hates Kyle.
Yeah, Morrison does not like Kyle Rayner. He seems to like Connor. Like I think he gets nicer treatment as a
Connor.
For sure.
Hero,
Are you kidding?
Total badass.
But as a little personal note. The very first comic I ever bought was a Green Arrow comic when Connor was Green Arrow. So that's why I always have a. I bought it at North Point Mall in Roswell, Georgia. There was a little comic kiosk back in the day.
Oh, I
And
remember
the
that.
worst.
What was that called?
Titans.
I don't remember.
Titans, yes. It had a
Maybe,
big
yeah.
fist.
It was right outside the food court. On the second
was-
floor, right outside the food court, was that
Yep.
comic kiosk. And the very
Yep.
first comic I ever bought was a little Connor Hawk as Green Arrow.
And I
That's
feel like
very,
the guy
funny
that
to me.
worked
When
there-
when was that?
I mean, late 90s. Yeah, late 90s.
That's so
Or
interesting.
97, 96, 97, something like that.
The guy that
So I've
worked
always
there
had a
was
soft
awful.
spot for a Connor.
Why do people that work
That
at
means we
comic
were all
shops-
shopping in the same comic shop
Yeah.
years before we knew each other.
That is strange.
Do you realize that?
Yeah.
That's sort of insane, seriously.
I just wanted to make that personal note of that's kind of why I always liked Connor. And then I kind of hate Kevin Smith for bringing fucking Oliver Queen back. And then Connor didn't matter anymore.
I like the little moments in this where they'll be like, well, you need the memory key to unlock the data sphere here, but and like Clark will be like, the key. You know, like, and they keep doing that, like little. I like that little, like, again, the writing in this is genuinely better. It's not just the art. Like, that's
Right,
subtle and interesting, and I like how they keep calling it back. You just like write these two key issues, and you're like, this is the storyline that I really love, and I'm gonna write this one, but I have to get the team here somehow. So let's just write some shit. You know, like,
It
just,
might
like,
also be. I'm assuming this was probably Morrison's first, or at least one of his first A-list really huge titles. Maybe he was just the first issues. He's just easing into it. You know, doing like
maybe.
whatever. Let's do
maybe he's
Marsh.
just like, I'm kind of getting my feet under this. Like, I know what I'm doing now. Here's an
So
interesting
he-
2-issue arc.
Right.
Yeah,
maybe the first few were just evil Martian super team. Let's keep it simple. And then I don't know what the fuck was going on with the Angel stuff. But at this point, maybe he's getting more into his groove. And
That was
Feeling a
something I
little
read
freer.
in the like deluxe edition or whatever when they were talking about him getting the role, because before this, his big titles were Animal Man, which I think was a little bit unorthodox for a superhero book, and then Doom Patrol, which was like a team book, but at the same time also not your standard superhero type stories. So yeah, it does seem like, especially with the Zoriel stuff, that storyline, it seemed like he was trying to bring too much weirdness to like a mainstream superhero team book. And it seems like by the time we got to the key, which we kind of like blasted through the key issues, but those were definitely the best out of these first 9 issues. So I'm hoping.
I mean, it's
when
just
we
Connor
revisit this-
dieharding through the Watchtower, which is kind of
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
yeah, but I do want to make. I mean, as much as I did enjoy these 2 issues more, they're still just
90s.
batshit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still nonsense. It's still
I
just
almost
nonsense that
disagree. Like,
doesn't
the
make sense.
dialogue's more on point. Like, within all the little dream worlds, like, they actually feel like they're talking to each other and not just like saying things.
No,
out
I agree
loud.
I agree the dialogue is better, but the plot is just what?
Oh, the plot's insane.
Like the plot is
Yeah.
BS.
Well,
I agree the dialogue is better, yeah.
The keys plot is insane.
Yes.
The rest
his
of
plan
it
makes no sense.
And that he did right, and that the joke about I don't even know if I can shoot a punching arrow, but that he did defeat the key with a punching
and then
arrow
he
was kind
wins
of
with it.
neat. Oh wait,
epilogues.
wait before we end, do you hear that little?
Oh God.
What is
Does
that?
this pass the Bechdel test?
Absolutely not. It
Does this
at all.
pass the Bechdel test? The Bechdel test. The Bechdel test. No. Anyway, this really fails the Bechdel test.
Bechdel test, a huge fail. Makamori test. No, Wonder Woman has no
all
mark.
of them, all of them,
Yeah.
basically. Well, I guess it does pass the sexy lamppost because she
Yeah,
does.
because that's
She does have personality and does this, so it does pass that test. But that's about it.
The recommendation.
Anything? Oh, I would say I'm going to come out like just pretty hot on this take. Don't read the first 9 issues. I would just say don't bother.
I agree.
It's
It's
disagree.
Don't
passed.
bother.
Disagree.
Oh really?
Okay.
What?
Again, only the last 2, 8 and 9 are great, and 5
8 and
is
9.
good.
Okay, yeah. 5 is
So
good.
like I wouldn't say like disregard this entire section of the Justice League. I would say if you want to watch the Justice League form up as a team, watch the Justice League cartoon for the first 2 episodes. And then because that's basically the Martian storyline. And then read issue 5 and read 8 and 9. It's good.
yeah.
Skip
8
the
and 9.
Angel stuff.
Uh,
I don't know. So
I would
if
just
I'm
say skip
3
the
out
whole
of
thing.
9, I guess I'm a skip too. considering all the issues as a whole, yeah, I guess I would skip it.
If that's it, I guess that's it. That's the Mobius Couch.
Yeah, that's Mobius Couch for this week.
That's the Mobius Couch. Good journey, everyone.
Good.
Bye. Goodbye.
Good
Good
journey.
journey. Good journey.
Goodbye now.
Good journey.
Goodbye now.
Bye.
Bye, Joe. Bye,
Yeah.
Al.
Oh, see ya.
Bye. Bye.
See you, Patty.
And Seed. We did it.